Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Criminal law. A pleading describing some wrong or offense. An often persistent bodily disorder or disease, a cause for complaining. An expression of grievance or resentment. Civil law. The first pleading of the plaintiff setting out the facts on which the claim for relief is based. Formerly, a loud cry, or repeated cries, of pain or rage or sorrow. Criminal law. A pleading describing some wrong or offense. He was arrested on a charge of larceny. Move quickly and violently. A quantity of explosive to be set off at one time. This cartridge has a powder charge of 50 grains. The quantity of unbalanced electricity in a body, either positive or negative, and construed as an excess or deficiency of electrons. The battery needed a fresh charge. Cause to be agitated, excited, or roused. The speaker charged up the crowd with his inflammatory remarks. Psychoanalysis. The libidinal energy invested in some idea or person or object. Freud thought of cathexis as a psychic analog of an electrical charge. Demand payment. Will I get charged for this service? Direct into a position for use. He charged his weapon at me. Blame for, make a claim of wrongdoing or misbehavior against. He charged the director with indifference. Request for payment of a debt. They submitted their charges at the end of each month. Cause to be admitted. Of persons to an institution. File a formal charge against. The suspect was charged with murdering his wife. To make a rush at or sudden attack upon, as in battle. Give over to another for care or safekeeping. Provide, a device, with something necessary. Attention and management implying responsibility for safety. A special assignment that is given to a person or group. His charge was deliver a message. Heraldry consisting of a design or image depicted on a shield. A formal statement of a command or injunction to do something. The judge's charge to the jury. Attribute responsibility to. The tragedy was charged to her inexperience. An assertion that someone is guilty of a fault or offense. The newspaper published charges that Jones was guilty of drunken driving. The swift release of a store of effective force. Impose a task upon, assign a responsibility to. He charged her with cleaning up all the files over the weekend. Assign a duty, responsibility or obligation to. She was charged with supervising the creation of a concordance. An impetuous rush toward someone or something. The wrestler's charge carried him past his adversary. A person committed to your care. The teacher led her charges across the street. Cause formation of a net electrical charge in or on. Charge a conductor. Energize a battery by passing a current through it in the direction opposite to discharge. I need to charge my car battery. Enter a certain amount as a charge. He charged me $15. Fill or load to capacity. Charge the wagon with hay. Financial liabilities, such as a tax. The charges against the estate. Instruct, a jury, about the law, its application, and the weighing of evidence. Instruct or command with authority. The teacher charged the children to memorize the poem. Lie down on command, of hunting dogs. Make an accusatory claim. The defense attorney charged that the jurors were biased. Pay with a credit card. Pay with plastic money. Postpone payment by recording a purchase as a debt. Will you pay cash or charge the purchase? Place a heraldic bearing on. Charge all weapons, shields, and banners. Saturate. The room was charged with tension and anxiety. Set or ask for a certain price. How much do you charge for lunch? The price charged for some article or service. The admission charge. An often persistent bodily disorder or disease, a cause for complaining. Affected by an impairment of normal physical or mental function. Ill from the monotony of his suffering. An often persistent bodily disorder or disease, a cause for complaining. Presaging ill fortune. Ill omens. Ill is often used as a combining form, in a poor or improper or unsatisfactory manner, not well. He was ill prepared. Unfavorably or with disapproval. Tried not to speak ill of the dead. Distressing. Ill manners. Indicating hostility or enmity. You certainly did me an ill turn. Resulting in suffering or adversity. Ill effects. Begging. Law. A statement in legal and logical form stating something on behalf of a party to a legal proceeding. A physical condition in which there is a disturbance of normal functioning. The doctor prescribed some medicine for the disorder. Bring disorder to. A condition in which things are not in their expected places. The files are in complete disorder. Disturb in mind or make uneasy or cause to be worried or alarmed. A disturbance of the peace or of public order. Having been turned so that the bottom is no longer the bottom. The upset pitcher of milk. Afflicted with or marked by anxious uneasiness or trouble or grief. Too upset to say anything. The act of upsetting something. He was badly bruised by the upset of his sled at a high speed. A physical condition in which there is a disturbance of normal functioning. Everyone gets stomach upsets from time to time. The act of disturbing the mind or body. His carelessness could have caused an ecological upset. Form metals with a swage. A tool used to thicken or spread metal, the end of a bar or a rivet, etc., by forging or hammering or swagging. Cause to overturn from an upright or normal position. Thrown into a state of disarray or confusion. With everything so upset. An improbable and unexpected victory. The biggest upset since David beat Goliath. Move deeply. This book upset me. An unhappy and worried mental state. She didn't realize the upset she caused me. Cause to lose one's composure. Defeat suddenly and unexpectedly. The foreign team upset the local team. Disturb the balance or stability of. The hostile talks upset the peaceful relations between the two countries. Mildly physically distressed. An upset stomach. Used of an unexpected defeat of a team favored to win. The Bills' upset victory over the Houston Oilers. The act of expressing earnest opposition or protest. The act of protesting. A public, often organized, manifestation of dissent. Law. A procedure whereby a party to a suit says that a particular line of questioning or a particular witness or a piece of evidence or other matter is improper and should not be continued and asks the court to rule on its impropriety or illegality. The speech act of objecting. Utter a sudden loud cry. Utter aloud. Often with surprise, horror, or joy. Shed tears because of sadness, rage, or pain. A slogan used to rally support for a cause. A cry to arms. A loud utterance of emotion, especially when inarticulate. A cry of rage. A loud utterance, often in protest or opposition. Proclaim or announce in public. Before we had newspapers, a town crier would cry the news. A fit of weeping. Had a good cry. Bring into a particular state by crying. Demand immediate action. This situation is crying for attention. The characteristic utterance of an animal. Utter a characteristic sound. The cat was crying. Utter a sudden loud cry. I yelled to her from the window but she couldn't hear me. Utter or declare in a very loud voice. You don't have to yell. I can hear you just fine. A loud utterance of emotion, especially when inarticulate. A yell of pain. A loud utterance, often in protest or opposition. A formal charge of wrongdoing brought against a person. The act of imputing blame or guilt. A formal charge of wrongdoing brought against a person. The act of imputing blame or guilt. An assertion that someone is guilty of a fault or offense. The state of being dizzy or nauseated because of the motions that occur while traveling in or on a moving vehicle. A mark on a die or on a playing card, shape depending on the suit. Hit with a missile from a weapon. A radar echo displayed so as to show the position of a reflecting surface. Kill by firing a missile. Defeat thoroughly. A disease of poultry. A minor nonspecific ailment. A small hard seed found in some fruits. The state of being dizzy or nauseated because of the motions that occur while traveling in or on a moving vehicle. An opportunity for complaint that is seldom missed. Grammatical mistakes are his pet peeve. Make a high-pitched, screeching noise. Complain whiningly. Talk in a tearful manner. A complaint uttered in a plaintive whining way. Move with a whining sound. A complaint uttered in a low and indistinct tone. A low continuous indistinct sound, often accompanied by movement of the lips without the production of articulate speech. Cry weakly or softly. A complaint uttered in a plaintive whining way. A resentment strong enough to justify retaliation. A complaint about a real or imaginary wrong that causes resentment and is grounds for action. An allegation that something imposes an illegal obligation or denies some legal right or causes injustice. To utter or emit low dull rumbling sounds. He grumbled a rude response. A complaint uttered in a low and indistinct tone. Show one's unhappiness or critical attitude. We grumbled about the increased workload. Make complaining remarks or noises under one's breath. She grumbles when she feels overworked. Make a low noise. A loud, low, dull, continuous noise. Continuous full and low-pitched throbbing sound. A complaint uttered in a low and indistinct tone. A loud, low, dull, continuous noise. A long and mournful complaint. A jeremiad against any form of government. Express complaints, discontent, displeasure, or unhappiness. Yiddish, a constant complainer. Yiddish, a nagging complaint. An abnormal sound of the heart, sometimes a sign of abnormal function of the heart valves. A complaint uttered in a low and indistinct tone. Make complaining remarks or noises under one's breath. A low continuous indistinct sound, often accompanied by movement of the lips without the production of articulate speech. A schwa that is incidental to the pronunciation of a consonant. Speak softly or indistinctly. She murmured softly to the baby in her arms. A complaint uttered in a low and indistinct tone. Making a low continuous indistinct sound. Like murmuring waves. A low continuous indistinct sound, often accompanied by movement of the lips without the production of articulate speech. Talk indistinctly, usually in a low voice. A complaint uttered in a low and indistinct tone. Make complaining remarks or noises under one's breath. A low continuous indistinct sound, often accompanied by movement of the lips without the production of articulate speech. A false and malicious publication printed for the purpose of defaming a living person. Print slanderous statements against. The newspaper was accused of libeling him. The written statement of a plaintiff explaining the cause of action, the defamation, and any relief he seeks. Emit long loud cries. Wail in self-pity. A cry of sorrow and grief. Cry weakly or softly. She wailed with pain. An exclamatory rhetorical device. An abrupt excited utterance. She gave an exclamation of delight. A loud complaint or protest or reproach. A cry of sorrow and grief. United Kingdom. A written statement of the grounds of complaint made to court of law asking for the grievance to be redressed.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.